guys, welcome to V.O.W. It's your girl Alicia Wanshell. I want to thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I want to also thank you so much for supporting my channel. I really appreciate that so much. If you have not subscribed, please make sure that you do. Also make sure that you like this video and share with your family and friends, okay? I would really greatly appreciate that. Now, so tonight what I want to talk about is I want to talk about how my life was impacted not having a father, okay? I previously spoke about my history of child molestation and how it impacted me. I talked about how, you know, I became sexually promiscuous at a very early age. I also talked about how, I became pregnant at the age of 14, had a child by the time I was 15, and last I talked about how I dated the wrong type of guys. So tonight what I want to talk about is, you know, what it was like not having a father in my home, okay? That really played a huge impact in my life because, as you all know, you know, having a father in your life is very it's very important, and not having a father in my life, I felt like it left me wide open to be taken advantage of. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, these, predators, they look for women who are vulnerable. And, my mom being a single parent, she was one of them. So, unfortunately, I was a victim of childhood molestation, and I think having a father in my life probably would have made a difference. So I just want to talk about that. I want to talk about how I met my father, when I met my father, and what it was like, and and so forth. My mom, she did date guys, but they weren't father figures, okay? They were not father figures. They were actually totally the opposite. As I, discussed in my previous videos, I had been molested by one, and a second tried to, he attempted, but failed because I was old enough to defend myself. So what I want to talk about now is my father. Growing up, I had no clue of who he was. I didn't know what he looked like. I didn't know what he sounded like. And, I can remember being a really small little girl just wondering who my father was. And I can remember, at times watching TV and just wondering, is that my daddy? Could that be my daddy? And I was just anxious to know what he looked like, what he sounded like. And I remember one time Smokey Robinson came on, and I was like, is that my daddy? I just always wondered. And I was maybe in elementary school wondering who my daddy was, because at that point I was, old enough to understand and know that, my father wasn't around. Everyone else, talked about their daddy. And I'm not saying that all of my friends' father was in their life, no, but, they talked about him. So, me, I had no idea who my father was. One day, when I was 10 years old, I got that opportunity to meet my father. I met my father while we were taking a blood test. We had to take a blood test. I was 10 years old, once again, and I walked into the office, and he was sitting there, with his current wife and his 3 small kids, and I was really nervous. And we walked in the room, and he looked at me one good time, and I remember him saying, you know what, we don't have to go through this. I can look at her and tell she's mine. She looks just like my twin sister. And from that point, we kind of, started talking and everything, he would write me letters. My father, he was in the military. He had been in for a while. I want to say he joined when he was in his early 20s or so. And so, he was still currently in the military at the time when I met him. We got the blood test done, and it did come back as positive, and I want to say it was like 99% something. But yes, I was definitely his. He was definitely my father. From that point, he started writing letters. Now, a couple of years had gone by. I don't think I heard from him. But then, I want to say 3 years later, maybe a couple of years. It's possible it was a couple of years later that I started hearing from him again. He started writing letters, and that was when he was sent over in Desert Storm, the war that took place in Saudi Arabia. And I started receiving letters from him. And so, I was really excited about that, because I really wanted to, get to know him and, spend time with him. And I can remember my mom just really, really being upset about, the letters and everything, because she wasn't too thrilled that, we were communicating, because growing up, well, I'm going to say this, she really didn't talk about him when I was, young. But once I became a teenager, she began telling me stories about him, She used to tell me some were good, and then, shortly after they became, he's this and he's that. But, the stories that she shared with me, she talked about how, they met and everything, and, how they were seeing each other, and then suddenly he just stops coming over. She did say that he went away to military school, and when he left, she said that she was pregnant, and she said that she advised him before he left. However, she hadn't heard anything else from him. So, I was like, I didn't know what to think because I wasn't there, but she was really bitter about the whole situation. She talked about it a lot. A lot of times she would, say things like, you just like your daddy, or you this and that. And, I never, at that point, and I think she started doing these things and saying these things after the blood test, and that was like maybe 3 years later when he started writing the letters. So she really felt some type of way about him writing letters, and it was to the point to where she would hide the letters, from me, his pictures. He would send me pictures, she would hide the pictures. And, like I know she let me read like 1 or 2 letters, and then that was it. I hadn't seen him anymore. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know what happened to the pictures or anything. But what I do know is that at some point afterwards, we eventually lost contact, and I was maybe 12 years old, maybe 13. I don't even believe I was 13 years old. But maybe 12, I would say, maybe 12. That was the last time I had really heard from my father. We lost contact after that. I remember the last letter I wrote him, I don't know if he ever received it or not now. I mean, because like I say, my mom, she wasn't too thrilled about us communicating. But I can remember the last letter I had written him. I was expressing how I wish I'd lived with him. I wish that I spent more time with him, and I remember just letting him know, some of the things that I wish I had, and, things like that. And, like I said, I never received a letter from him. After that, I never received a response or anything. So, I was feeling kind of like, kind of down. I felt kind of I didn't know what to think of it. I really didn't. I just didn't know. So, I just went my way. Me not having a father in my life caused me to, just become wild at a very early age. I was going through my little phase or whatever, because as I mentioned, I went through a lot, and, I started acting out and became like just rebellious. I ended up getting pregnant. It really caused me to look for love in all the wrong places, and man, it was just crazy. It was just crazy. If had my father been in my life, I'm confident I wouldn't have turned out that way. But he wasn't there, and so things happened. I hadn't really try to reach out to him anymore. Not until I was probably 18. I was probably 18, I would say, because I had started college and everything, and that's when I started, messing with computers. I started learning more about them, and I remember going onto the internet, and I did a search for my father, and I found him, and I called, and it was him, and I want to say that one of my sisters answered the phone and took a message or whatever, but I actually had to take the first step as far as locating him and getting in contact with him, and when I got in contact with him, we kind of talked here and there, and even still after getting in contact with him, we didn't stay in contact on a regular basis. I think when I moved to Florida is when, and this is after my marriage, when I turned 21, and from that point is where I really started, we really started building our relationship, or whatever. And, my father, he was, we became really close and everything. And let me tell you, my father, he is something else, okay? But he's my father, and I love him, and I'm so happy to have him in my life. I just wish that, I could have gotten to know him a little more growing up, because I missed out on some precious moments, being able to get to know my grandmother, being able to get to know my my aunts and my uncles and great aunts and, things like that, because I have a really large family on my father's side, and I have a lot of cousins, first cousins and everything, and I just wish that I was able to share those moments, of growing up with them and being able to spend time with my grandmother and everything. And she's still currently living right now, and I want to say she's 86, 87, and she lives in North Carolina. My father, he now resides in California, and that is where he settled when he retired from the military. He did like 20 years in the military, 22. My father, he is very blunt. He is very direct. He speaks his mind. He does not sugarcoat a thing. I remember one time I was really, really hurt about a situation. I was crying, and I remember he said, "Alicia, don't cry. Crying is for weak people." So from that point, I had to learn how to be strong, regardless of what the situation was. I had to learn that, because what I've learned from him is that you have to be strong, or else you will be devoured, by your problems, by your situations, by people, by this world. So I learned that, I don't have an option other than be strong. I am just happy to have my father in my life. I was upset with him in the beginning, because he wasn't there for me when he could have been there for me. I thought about, how, I had to make the first initiative to find him versus him finding me. And it made me feel like he did not want to have anything to do with me. So, I kind of held on to that for a little bit. I was kind of bitter in the beginning. And I can remember, too, what we kind of rehashed that was when, he had mentioned to me that, after the blood test, he didn't bother to come, he didn't bother to get me because, he thought I was okay. Well, I wasn't okay. And that hurt me because I wanted to know, well then, why didn't you come see about me and see if I was okay instead of assuming that I was okay? So, that's something that was very hurtful. But I just want to say that, guys, in life you have to learn how to forgive your parents, whatever you've gone through with your father. Please forgive them, get to know them, because at the end of the day, your father is your father. And ladies, I want to say this: never, ever, ever interfere with your child's relationship and the father's relationship, because at the end of the day, a child needs their father. Having a father in a child having a father in their life is very important. It's very important. Why is it so important for the father to be in a child's life? Well, it's important for the father to be in a child's life because they are security for the child. They are security both physically and emotionally. The fathers are the ones who lay down the rules. They're the ones who tell you what it is. And they're the ones who don't sugarcoat anything. They make what they say go. Period. Having a father in your life, it gives you a secure feeling. Having a father in your life builds your confidence. Having a father in your life, it gives you a sense of protection. Having a father in your life is such a major influence because, not only are you gaining the confidence that you need to proceed in life, not only are you being protected, not only are you, just growing as an individual from the lessons that you learn from your father, but you're also, you're learning what to expect from other people because of how your father made an impact in your life. So, when you look at the man that your father is and how he treated you and others around you, that's what you expect from other people. But if you don't have a father role figure or role model in your life, you don't know what to expect from people. You don't know how to be treated by other men. And so that's what I missed out on by not having my father in my life. I missed out on not knowing how to be treated by a person. And so what happened? I was taken advantage of. I was used and abused, So ladies, it's so important to make sure that your daughters have that relationship with their father. Not only your daughters, your boys too, okay? They need to know what it's like to have a father. They need to know what to expect. Because when you don't have a father, you don't know what to expect from people. So that's something very important. We have to remember, we have to keep the children out of our issues, okay? Sometimes the parents have issues with one another and they want to involve the kids. And we shouldn't be doing that. Because at the end of the day, the child is being impacted. not you, but the child. So we should never use the child, for our own personal gain, or for bait or anything to get, our way with the other person. We should never do that, because at the end of the day, again, the child is being impacted. Again, we depend on our fathers for emotional support. Our fathers, basically, they teach us how to have relationships with other people. And I think I was just speaking a little bit about that. They teach us how to, what to expect from other people and how we should be treated. Again, if you've never had a father figure in your life, you don't know what to expect. You want to make sure that if you are someone who doesn't have that relationship with your father, I would encourage you to reach out to your father today. Be the bigger person and start building that relationship today. It's never too late to build a relationship with your father. Having a father in your life is so important. It's so important. I know that some of us were not as fortunate as some to have good father figures. I know some of you may have a father who was abusive. You may have had a father who was a predator, like a child molester or whatever. And that's a whole different, story. You still have to forgive. I know Joyce Myers has spoken a lot about that, and about her situation that she had experienced with her father. That's a very difficult situation right there. I mean, I have to be honest. I can't just say, hey, forgive and forget it ever happened. No, but I do know that you do have to forgive at some point in your life. Because at the end of the day, it's still your father. You cannot change that. You can't take that back. But I can't tell you how to deal with the situation either. If you've been violated by your father, or if your father violated someone else, I cannot tell you how to deal with that situation. But just give it to God. Most importantly, God can get you through anything. But I do think it is important to, if you do not have a relationship with your father, I think it's important that you start building one with them. It's never too late. Get to know the person that they are, because life is short. You're here one day and you're gone the next. So now is the time to start learning about your fathers, if you never knew them growing up. Again, I just really started building my relationship with my father when I became a young adult. I was a young adult. We did have, we communicated when I was younger, of course, but it wasn't consistent. And again, I as I mentioned, my mom, she was bitter about, what happened between them two. And she was kind of like the mediator. And so, I don't know if he was sending more letters than what she was giving me, because I do know that she would take the letters that she did give and she would take them and hide them, as well as his pictures. So, that was kind of something that may have very well played a huge role in our relationship. My mom, she didn't like the fact that we was communicating. She was really upset about it. So at some point we lost contact. But again, I did make an effort to find my father, and I did. And ever since then we've had an awesome relationship. And I've even traveled out to California to visit him, and that made him feel so good. He was just so happy. He was so happy about that. So, guys, please make sure you get to know your father. It's never too late. And again, please, young girls, ladies, don't keep your daughters away from their fathers. It's so important for their fathers to be in their lives, okay? They need their fathers for that influence, okay? They need their fathers for the confidence that they are given, having a father figure. They need their fathers for that security, and that protection, that love, that unconditional love, okay? A young girl needs to know how she's supposed to be treated, so that she'll know what to expect from other guys when she do get out there in the real world. And she need to learn that early on, because I'm telling you now, I didn't get that, and I made so many poor decisions. So I'm just asking, listen, please, take it from someone who knows. A child need a relationship with their father. Do not intentionally hold them back from knowing their father. That's just crazy. That's crazy, especially when the father wants to play a role in the child's life. That doesn't make any sense to me. Because I was just a little girl just wishing I knew who my father was. Looking at TV, wondering if that was my father. So please, make sure you're not holding your child back from knowing who their father is. Make sure you're not holding them back from having that relationship with them. Okay? I didn't have that opportunity. It was hurtful. It was very hurtful. I mean, I'm telling you, especially when my father told me that he thought that I was okay. I didn't know how to take that, because I was being fondled and molested. And I'm like, you thought I was okay? And, he would say, if I'd known that you was going through all these things, then I would have come and got you. So that's the importance of keeping that relationship and keeping that communication with your children. Men, if you're watching this, please make sure you're keeping that relationship with your child. It's so important. Your daughters need you. Your sons need you too. So I'm going to say your kids need you, okay? Your kids need you. You're their first role model. You and the mom. So you want to make sure that you're there to show your child what a man is supposed to be like, so no other man will have to do it. You don't want any other man showing your child what a man is supposed to be like, and then they end up touching them places they shouldn't be touched. Because that's what happens. These boyfriends and stepdads, they be playing other roles. They don't play the father figures that that you should be playing. You're the father. You be the father. And have those conversations with your kids, so they know what to expect. So, I just wanted to come on and talk a little bit about that. It wasn't much, but I just thought I'd share my, short story with you. Again, me and my father have a great relationship today. We talk on a regular, the past is the past. I have forgiven my father. I love him very much. He is very supportive of me now. Now, yeah, my father is my father now. He still have his ways. But who doesn't? So, guys, I want to just say, please make sure that you are tuning in, watching my videos. Please make sure you hit that bell to get the notifications. Please make sure that you like and share with your family and friends. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you have not subscribed, again, please make sure you do. I thank you so much for supporting my channel. If you have not, please make sure that you do, okay? Thank you guys so much, and you have a great day, and goodbye.